reality is, though, I mean, if we really want to help young people get into work, what they need is a good education. And we've seen children basically locked out of their classrooms for many, many, many months. We've seen them being forced to wear masks in the classroom in school. Labour has supported all of those policies. I always thought those policies were wrong, fought against them, thought the government was wrong. But Labour supported those policies. You've done just as much damage by supporting those policies. You could have voted against them and they wouldn't have happened.
No, I completely disagree. We, throughout the pandemic, have prioritised having children in school.
When did you do that?
Well,
when did you vote against any measures and demand that children were at school? I don't remember that. I followed this pretty closely.
Throughout all of the periods of lockdown, those that were necessary to protect people.
Those were necessary. No, can you tell me a single occasion when Keir Starmer or any of your front bench were calling for children to go back to school when the Prime Minister was insisting they couldn't? Because I don't believe that ever happened.
If you let me finish, when the lockdowns happened, we said time and again that the biggest priority must be to get children back to school. We pushed for better spaces and more ventilation in schools so that children could more easily be in school. We prioritised having a catch-up programme so that we would invest in helping children recover, which has never happened, which still needs to happen. If you talk to parents up and down this country, and anybody, frankly, who cares about our kids, they are worried about their mental health. That catch-up programme could have helped that. They're worried about their physical health. You know, too many kids, we've lost the sport in school requirement that we used to have, and too many kids aren't enjoying themselves enough at school.
Kids would be much physically and mentally healthier and would be enjoying a lot more if we'd left kids alone and throughout the pandemic. And the Labour Party was as big a failure as the Tory Party on that issue. I'm sorry, I'm not going to let you get away with that one.
You and I are going to disagree about that, but
I'm right, you're wrong.
I will not accept that we didn't at every single turn prioritise our children.
Apart from not demanding that children were back in school.
Okay, well,
you never did that. But I will not have people come on the show and say, we really care about young people and we want them to be able to get jobs. If you allowed young people to be sat in their bedrooms on Zooms and 3 or 4 million in total not getting proper lessons at all, and you colluded with the damage that was happening to this country. Well, government takes responsibility ultimately, but you colluded with it. So I'm not having that. Let's talk about where we are with Partygate though. We were expecting that Sue Gray report someday this week. Each day, everyone's been on tenterhooks all day yesterday. Everyone was waiting, and now it looks like it's going to be on Monday. Who knows, it may suddenly appear. Do you think that this waiting game is helping the Prime Minister or harming him?
Harming him.
Why?
Because I think that with stuff like this, it's just good to come out and answer questions and be upfront and open from the very start. And this has been an absolute pantomime. We had Tory junior ministers sent to the House of Commons, not able to answer a single question. You know, then we've had, wait for the Sue Gray report, wait for the Sue Gray. It's like, honestly, it's like waiting for Godot. It's awful. And it's just dragging it on and on and on. And everybody's getting frustrated now. People want politicians to be talking about things that really matter to them. And, you know, we've got looming energy bill rises and all of that. And I think it would have been better if from the word go, the Prime Minister had just been open and transparent and just answer questions and say, look, this is what happened. It wasn't good. This is what I'm going to do about it. But he just seems to fail to do that.
Let's talk about the stuff that does matter to people, and that's their energy bills going up, that national insurance rise. Rebel Tory MPs are basically saying, look, we'll back you, Prime Minister, in a confidence vote if you agree to cancel that national insurance increase. We know there are lots of other things they want to get rid of, like net zero policies and things like that, as well as that's beginning to hit people in terms of our failure to have secure, affordable, reliable energy. The reality is the choice between Tory and Labour, virtually all of the problems we've got right now would be worse under Labour, wouldn't they?
No, absolutely not. We've got a costed plan on energy prices. Look, in the long term, we've got to have big reforms in the energy sector, but in the immediate term, we could cut VAT and we could have a windfall tax on oil and gas industry to give people help from, between £200 and £600 help with their bills. I think that's that is not going to be a panacea for everything, because we've got a big job to do to invest in the sector so that we can get really good jobs for people in this area, as well as getting security of energy supply and helping people with their bills in the long term. But I think that there's stuff that we could do now that would make a difference.
Okay, let's also talk about the end of Plan B today. Working from home already had ended. That no mask mandate, no vaccine passports. Masks ended in communal spaces in schools. There wasn't Plan B is ending today. Do you agree that all of those policies should no longer be in place?
I don't want restrictions to be in place a moment longer.
That's not what I asked you. Do you agree they should no longer be in place?
Yes, because if the science says that that's okay, then
does
that's
the science
fine.
say that's okay?
Yes, I think that the situation that we've got into with the public health advice, the biggest risk to it is the situation where people don't trust anymore that those who were at the top were sticking with the rules. I think if you listen to local directors of public health, I think their messages and their guidance and their advice to people gets listened to a lot more, frankly.
I don't think I've ever heard anyone from my local public health tell me anything or anywhere about what I should be doing.
Well, I feel sorry for you, because in Merseyside, our local directors of public health, I think, are doing a great job helping.
You think those people listening right here have heard regularly from their local director of public health?
Yes, I think that directors of public health have done a great job throughout the pandemic. But that's not the point I'm making. The point that I'm making is that most people want good advice about the small steps that they can do to help keep themselves safe.
Are you going to carry on wearing masks?
Yes, I will.
I thought we were following the science, and the science said we didn't have to carry on wearing masks, but you're going to carry on wearing a mask against the science?
That we're following the science about what needs to be mandatory. There is also evidence that voluntary mask wearing in situations where people are close together, like in shops or on public transport, that can help at the margins.
Could you point to that study? I've not seen that study.
I don't think wearing a mask is a panacea, but I think at the margins it can make a difference. And I think that there's some people in our society that are really vulnerable in the way that others are not. And those are people who work in shops. They're people who work on trains and on buses. And if I can do a little thing to help protect those people, then I'm prepared to do it.
Depends if there was evidence that did make a difference. All of the people I know who work in shops, Alison, all of the people I know who work in shops and who work on certainly on London's tube network, and I speak to them every single day, they don't want to wear masks. They're fed up with them. They hate wearing masks. They know they're a load of nonsense. They don't want to wear them. The unions are demanding they wear them because that's what some unions do. But I mean, I don't meet anyone who says, I can't wait to wear a mask. They'd be allowed to carry on wearing a mask anyway. Why do we need mandates?
Julia, what we've discovered in this interview is perhaps you and I speak to slightly different people. But, that's fine. Look, people will feel differently about it. But I think, my experience has been that those people working in frontline positions feel a bit more vulnerable, and mask wearing is a relatively low-level thing you can do to help them. So I'm prepared to do it. Not everyone can. That's fine. Some people have got medical conditions.
And some people are just too sane to do it. But there we are. What can I say?
Well, again, we'll have to agree to disagree.
Well, I don't know. I only follow things that are evidence-based. And if the evidence isn't there, I don't do it. Old-fashioned, I know. Alison McGovern, it's great to talk to you. Really appreciate you coming on. She's the Shadow Employment Minister, Labour MP. We're just over time, so I may as well go. Benjamin Butterworth joining me all this morning. You said you're going to carry on wearing a mask in certain places?
Yes, including this building where it's still mandatory.
Well, not for those who've got exemptions. Yeah, I hate the fact I don't understand. I do not understand. Why would people be needing to wear masks in this building? Policy is largely set for people who often work from home, I find.
Well, I'll be putting it on the tube, and also you get vulnerable people out and about in places like supermarkets and public transport, and I do it for those people who are still clinically vulnerable.
Because a little cloth mask with holes that are 500 times bigger than the virus, that'll definitely help. Brilliant stuff. We're all following the science today, folks. This never stops, guys. It never stops. It's going on forever. 9:01. This is Talk Radio.
Good talk. Hot talk. Bold talk. Talk Radio. Listen on